Okay there, welcome to this, the first installment of lessons about Bob Marley's I Shot the Sheriff and my particular take on it. Let's start today with a simple version of the groove, and then we're going to, for the second time round, the A section, or the verse section, we're going to embellish it a bit more, add some more rhythmic interest. So the basic chords is the first step to learn. So we're in the key of G minor. So what I want you to do to start with is just get familiar with the warm up with the G minor scale. The first finger position here from the 3rd fret on the E string. So G, A, B flat. Observe the finger positioning as well. C, D, E flat, F natural, and G. Okay, and let's also take that an octave higher from the 10th fret on the A string. Alright, so these will be our reference points for this particular installment of the lesson. Alright, so the chords that we're going to use are simply, for the A section, the verse, just simply G minor and C7. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you both the E string voicings and A string voicings for these chords, just the basic ones, using the root 7th and 3rd. Let's start with the root chord G minor. So first finger, 3rd fret. You'll notice that all these lay in the same fret. So 3rd fret, root note G, E string. 3rd fret with your 2nd finger for F, which is the 7th. And then 3rd fret on the G string for your minor 3rd with your 3rd finger. G minor 7. Take it an octave higher from the same shape, same fingering from the 15th fret. Okay, now we're going to learn that on the A string. On the A string voicing, your G is going to be here on the 10th fret with your 3rd finger, and then your 7th will be on the 10th fret also with your pinky, and then you're going to put your minor 3rd with your 1st finger there on the 8th fret for the B flat. G minor 7. So there are your chord voicings for that. And then the next chord in the sequence is C7. So if you go from your G minor 7, you're going to swap your 1st finger round to go on the 3rd fret of the A string for a C, which is your root note. You're going to keep your 3rd finger right on the B flat there. And you're going to put your 1st finger on an E natural. So that's the only note that is outside of the diatonic scale. It's the E natural there. So there you've got C, E natural, and B flat for a C7th chord. Again, take that up to the 15th fret. You'll notice that on the A string, this is true for any chord voicing on the bass, we're basically going root 3rd and 7th. So now let's go on to the E string. So here we're going to find C on the 8th fret of the E string, and we're going to put our 7th there on the 8th fret behind that. So that's 1st finger C, 2nd finger on the 7th there, which is B flat on the D string, and then we're going to put our 3rd, major 3rd actually in this case, E on the 9th fret of the G string. So you'll notice that E string chord voicings are root 7th 3rd for the most part. Another way of looking at this, just a tip for you to get used to the fretboard layout, if you take that C7 on the A string voicing like I showed you before, and then you shift exactly the same triangular shape to the 8th fret of the E string, exactly the same shape, and then just swap, put the octave of the E of the 3rd up on the G string, and then just swap your fingers round. That gives you the E string voicing. Now we omit the 3rd here because it just sounds better to put the 3rd on the top. It's clearer, especially on the bass guitar. Another way of voicing this is 1, 2, 3 in terms of left hand fingering, leaving you open to play the 11th with your pinky if you want to. So those are the chords. Let's put those chords down in a loop. I'll get the beat going. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to put those chords down and just swell them in. I'm going to do this up here for the G minor. Pretty simple. Those are the chords for the verse. Now on with the bass line. Okay, so that gives you a very simple groove. Let's just look at that groove and what the notes are in there. Again, we're in this position. All the notes are lying within that G minor scale position. Notes I'm using, choice notes, are root, played first finger, 7th, played with your first finger as well. I play with my thumb because I like the, I'm getting a palm mute here going with my right hand. I just like the sound of that, as opposed to finger style. It's got a better quality in my opinion, especially for this style of music. So we've got the G minors going G, F, D, and fingering wise, I'm using fingering which I use, I'm a double bass player as well, so I often use the fingering that I use on double bass. This is just to get strength, more strength and support behind the notes on the left hand. You don't have to follow this as a rule, but you can see that everything lies beneath my fingers, and there is a economy of motion there. So root, 7th, and then 5th. And then you've got your root for the C7, and then we're going to extend down to the B flat there, and then to the A, and then 5th, and then we're going to repeat like the first bar, and then F, 7th, so that's the 7th, 5th, octave. So the whole thing goes like this. That's it. Let's just play that in context. Okay, so the next step is to take that up an octave as well. What I'll do is I'll play that and record it, and then we'll double it up an octave higher. So here we go, let's put that bass line down. Here we go. Alright, now the next step is to take that bass line and put it an octave higher. So to do that, we're going to play exactly the same groove, just an octave higher from the 10th fret, as I showed you the scale position before. Alright. I'm going to play in that scale position. So that's going to sound like this. There you go. So that gives you a nice, solid, basic groove there. That's just very easy to play on. I'm just going to add the skank using the chords. Do that on the rear pickup. There we go. So now we've got something that we can build on. What I want to do next is introduce some other notes to the bass line. So what I'm going to do is just stop the bass line, and I'm going to show you now a way that we can approach this and add some more interesting notes. So for that, what I'm going to do is introduce the Tritone Substitution. Instead of playing, I mean, you probably know about that already if you've studied theory and harmony. Instead of playing the fifth, we're going to play the flat fifth as a descending passing note. There, you see. We're also going to change the feel a little bit and make it skip a bit more, add a bit more rhythmic interest to it this time round. So what is happening there is we're playing the root again, of course, and this time let's do it finger style, just to playing exactly the same as the first bar in the previous version. So it's almost the same, bit more rhythmic variation. Like on the C, we're playing that triplet, and then after the A, instead of going to a D, we're going to go to this A flat. So let's hear that in context. etc. Okay, so let's get that down. I'll just record that and double it up. We'll learn to play it up on the 12th fret, up in the higher octave position as well. So here we go. There we go. So this has got a little bit more bounce, right? Let's take it an octave higher as well. All right. So let me just stop that for a sec. So what's happening there is I'm just taking exactly the same bass line up an octave as we did with the previous version. All right, so there you've now got two versions of a bass line which you can put together, which creates a good kind of build-up to go into the chorus, which we'll cover the chorus in the next lesson. So let's just play that and record it. There you go. So there you can hear how that works along there with the groove. So I think the next step is to show you how both those grooves sound together. If we yeah, let's put both those grooves together and practice playing them seamlessly. So that's going to sound like this. There we go. Back to the simple version. See, so it gives you a variation there, which is really nice, and by doubling up an octave higher as well, you're learning more of the fretboard too. So those are a couple of concepts to go on with, and then in the next lesson we're going to look at the B section. We'll look at a bass line which follows a similar pattern to this one that we've just done, and we'll also look at a walking bass line as well, that will introduce some more advanced harmonic and theoretical concepts. So let's just recap. Today we looked at chords, G minor, 7, two different ways of playing it, and playing it through a couple of octaves, and C7 as well. And and we looked at the simple bass line using that scale shape, within that scale shape. And then advanced tritone substitution. So that gives you a little bit of scope there on the groove, and hope you have fun with that one. So yeah, and the tabs and everything will be up tomorrow. I'll get those done. Alright, so the other lesson, the next lesson, will be on the B section, chorus, and will be coming soon. Cheers for watching.